Cosplay Sanctuary on YouTube. This is your host, Scotty B. My next guest is creative, fantastic, and expressive in so many ways. Her cosplays are larger than life, and her ability to imagine entire worlds will amaze you. She has many brilliant credits in screenplays and writing. Her work has gained much attention, and she has a style like no other cosplayer. Please welcome to the show, award-winning screenwriter, cosplayer, and possibly the only guest that will have the humor to allow me to quote one of my favorite lines from a movie, 1 + 2 + 1 + 1 + 1. If I'm even saying that right, welcome Miss Green in the library, Shelley Greene, to the show.
Well, hi, thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. And you know, I've found you on Instagram, and you have such an amazing way of displaying your cosplays. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's just really cool to be able to scroll through and how you have everything arranged. I encourage people to go and see that. But then just finding out there's so much more to your many talents and the things that you focus on in writing and other things. Would you mind giving us a little bit of your origin story and how you became Miss Green in the library?
Sure thing. My background is in English. I actually majored in English with the emphasis in creative writing, hence all the writing. And I've always loved Halloween. It's my favorite. Literally the day after Halloween is when I start thinking about what I want to do for the next Halloween. And then it's been about 2 years now, a good friend of mine saw the guests that were coming to FanX here in Salt Lake. And she was like, I'm going to come into town and go to FanX and you're going with me. And I was like, okay, I've never been to a con, but might as well. And she's like, oh yeah, and we're also going to dress up. And I'm like, I never say no to dressing up, so sure. And then I less slid and more like free fell straight into cosplay from there. I loved it immediately and just started doing more and more. And even locally, I like with 2020 being what it is and no cons, I've been working, well, I'm a project manager in my day life. And so I've been taking that skill set and working to put together photographers and cosplayers by setting up local group cosplay shoots for different fandoms that I cosplay in. And it's just been the best way to make a fun, nerdy experience out of 2020, which was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, it's been a wild year, and it's been a really challenging year for cosplayers. You know, in not to discredit everything that they've been able to do online, but not being able to go to cons and being so distant from everybody. It's been a tough year. I mean, just in that aspect, but just with everything else, it's been really quite tragic in many ways.
Way beyond cosplay, it's been utterly tragic, but it has definitely been difficult to stay in touch with this community when you went from having cons and meeting new people to, oh, now you have to figure out how to engage online in a new and more proactive way than perhaps people were trying to before.
Yeah, and you have really done some captivating things online to, I think, engage people and capture their attention. Your first cosplay, I think, on your Instagram feed was Mara, and it was Christmas version, Merry Christmas. And that was through McKay Photography Studio. So just very cool photo shoot. But you've grown so much and you've done so much since then. Really, it's just it's quite complicated to arrange a photography the way that you do on your feed, and also brilliant. Would you be able to talk about how you came up with showcasing your work on Instagram and just like what it I guess does for you, or what you like to do with it?
Yes, I actually a photographer friend of mine was showing me some people's profiles more on the side of modeling, and I saw just different things of like grouping of larger photos of flowers or something, just kind of going by color and that type of thing. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I started looking for apps that would help break up pictures so that you can post it in that way. And then I was just like, that would be kind of fun to kind of stick with a theme for a while and go, okay, we really want to focus on this cosplay, Zatanna. I want to give Zatanna a few blocks so that you can see it more than just like one picture and then scrolling, trying to find a different picture of Zatanna. So then I would look at pictures from the photo shoot and go, okay, which one do I really want to showcase, blow up, have it spread across multiple tiles? And it's just really fun to kind of just place them together and see what works.
And you do a lot of different things. I mean, it's I mean, sometimes it's like 9 or 12. You have some really big prints that you have, and then some of them are a little bit like, they're more like cinematic. I really think the Winter Soldier is quite cool. Everything. I mean, they're all, you have such a wide variety of fandoms that you express through that medium. I just wondered, you know, you've made references to so many. You've made references to Firefly. I think it was part of your Scarlet Witch photo shoot. It's one of my favorite shows. I really Summer Glau is amazing. She's so much fun. But do you have a favorite fandom, and is it one that we've seen yet?
I've always said that I love to be passionately interested in as many things as possible. And there's definitely the favorites of periods of time. Growing up, obsessed with Firefly. I loved that show. I still love that show. It's definitely near the top. But there's just different ones that at certain points in my life, they resonate with me more. And so for that point in time, it would be probably my favorite. What got me into superheroes in the first place was watching X-Men Evolution as a kid on like Saturday mornings. Actually, I couldn't watch them on Saturday mornings because I had soccer games, so would have to record them on VHS because dating myself there, you know.
Oh, that's
And
okay. I was probably in college when X-Men Evolution was on TV, so don't worry about it. I love that show. I think it's I'm actually watching the anime version on Netflix right now, which is really cool. I love they have X-Men. They just added Wolverine on there, and but X-Men Evolution is like the best. It's so cool.
oh, I love it. And that's what introduced me to superheroes. And for ages, the X-Men were my absolute favorite of superheroes. They're still really high up there, but I've broadened my horizons in the superhero department since then. But yeah, so I started with X-Men Evolution and then watched the 90s X-Men cartoons and just was like, this is my jam. This is where I belong. I love this stuff.
I think I started with comic books with X-Men #1 way back when in the 90s when they rebooted everything. And then they had the Uncanny X-Men and the X-Men, the blue and the gold team. So yeah, it's a great place to get started.
Yeah,
I know that you're also a fan of Star Wars.
I
And
am.
you've done a version of Leia that I do not often see. It's a really cool one. It's one where she's in the Ewok village and she has the kind of the formal village dress on from Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So of all of the choices that you would have for Leia from A New Hope to all the way into, you know, even the new set of Star Wars movies, what did you like most about that cosplay?
Honestly, that's always been my favorite outfit of hers. I think just even as a little girl, seeing her with the Ewoks, which when you're a little kid are the coolest thing ever. When you're an adult, they're just the most adorable thing ever. So either way, it works. But being a little girl and seeing the dress and the hair and just being like, yes, that is my ideal outfit. So then as an adult, I had a friend that wanted to do some Star Wars cosplays. And I was like, okay, who would I do? I landed on Princess Leia. And then I was like, well, which one do I do? And I was like, if I can find a way to do it, I will do this one. And I found a maker on Etsy who made that dress and did a brilliant job. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the shop, or else I would be happy to give her a plug right now. But she did a really great job on the dress. I've been super happy with it and done some really fun shoots. And so I love it. It's a great dress.
And with creating so much from so many different fandoms, there's definitely a process to what goes on behind the scenes. And I would really love to hear a little bit about your process and how you put together cosplays and just the entire presentation of how you go from getting it out of your head or the idea to putting it together and presenting it on a platform like Instagram.
It's kind of funny because I started out very simply, just was supposed to dress up with a friend. So I threw together an outfit, found things, and went from there. Started out very predominantly just finding things, piecing things together, sometimes MacGyvering things. I would say my strongest skill set in life is MacGyvering. I usually have zero idea what I'm doing, and I just like figure out how to make it work. And most of the time it works out. I'm very lucky that way. And like through this process, I've been teaching myself how to sew. I thought sewing machines were very intimidating. So to start, I was like, okay, I'll just hand stitch. And several friends who sew were just appalled that I was stitching entire garments by hand. They're like, this is ridiculous and not sustainable. You need to get over it and use the sewing machine. So I kind of do the trial by fire, and like, I love to bite off more than I can chew. And so I just like dive into way more than I should be doing. And eventually along the way, you figure out what you're doing. The first thing I did with EVA foam was the Winter Soldier arm. And I haven't really had too many projects since that are EVA foam, but I'm looking forward to doing more. And so it really just starts with, I see an outfit or a character and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love this. It's amazing. And it looks really hard. So I want to figure out how to do it. So then you just, depending on what you need for it, I am not opposed to making things easier on yourself. If there's pieces you can find on Amazon, at a thrift store, just wherever, piecing parts together, or if it's something that you need to make from scratch, then you start out by I find the things that will make it the easiest. If there is a pattern, like a pre-existing pattern that I can use and adapt to make what I want it to look like, I'll do that. Like right now I have been working, actually I just finished it, need to do a photo shoot because I haven't done any pictures in it, but Hera from Lore Olympus.
Okay.
I love Lore Olympus, so it's awesome. I'm a little bit behind now, but Hera, I feel like she's my spirit animal. She's fantastic. But she has this one outfit. It's very Audrey Hepburn-esque. It's kind of a capelet jacket thing. And I saw it and I was like, I really want to do that outfit. So I tracked down a pattern and found one that was fairly similar. And then made the changes I needed to make it more like what is in the illustrations. And that was about 6 hours of beading, which was super fun. I stabbed myself with the needle many times.
So what is beading exactly? I'm not familiar with the term.
So the entire back has pearls and diamonds. So the beads, they're to be sewn on. So I had to sew on each one.
Oh, wow. Okay. And that took that was 6 hours
That's
just
about 6 hours of work.
Ooh, wow, that's a lot.
And several bloody fingers as you stab yourself.
Yeah, you get, and it probably gets a little bit numb after a while of doing that, and your back probably starts to hurt. I can imagine, but it always they turn out so well. How you go through everything and then presenting it, it's always so confident and just very cool, and so interesting to just hear about your process and kind of the way that you have really grown and developed, all the skill sets that make everything a little bit easier on yourself, but also just doing a lot more with the fabrics and with the costumes. Super cool. So we're finally out of 2020, and I guess 2021 is going to be a little better. I don't not yet, but we'll hope it is. Um, I had an episode a little while ago about cosplans and resolutions, cosplans for 2021. You've mentioned a little bit ago working on Vanessa Ives from Penny Dreadful, one of my recent favorite shows. I have a lot of favorite shows, but Penny Dreadful, it doesn't always sit so well, but it's just a really cool, kind of sucks you in sort of show. The concepts are amazing, and Eva Green is one of my favorite actresses of all time. She's super, just she gets into character so well, so I think she was
Okay.
perfect for the part. But you, well, I just wondered if for as much as you have a talent for complex costumes I can't talk today, complex costumes, what drew you to Vanessa Ives as one of your favorites?
So back when I first started cosplaying, I did a super thrown together, janky Vanessa Ives because my friend and I, the con we were going to, Billy Piper was going to be there.
Oh, okay. Doctor Who. Mhm.
Oh yes, that was what I really knew her from, and my friend really knew her from Penny
Or
Dreadful, and I was like, well,
well,
she will always be Rose Tyler to me.
yeah, and I think she was a pop singer before that, if anybody's interested in how she
Really,
got started. Yeah, she
I
has
did
songs.
that.
You should check them out on YouTube. I think they're very 90s, but
I threw something together, ended up not wearing that to the con, but I loved the idea of the costuming, and I've always been fascinated with historical costumes and loved the idea of learning how to make them. So I figured now that I'm getting really into sewing, I might as well bite off more than I can chew again and get into historical costuming while I'm at it. Um, and the costuming in that show, it's just, even the dresses that may seem a little more simple or maybe boring, like some of Vanessa's dresses, which are just black or just black and white, you look at them and just the level of detail and the intricacy is just breathtaking. And I honestly, it's like beyond the fact that it's a visually spectacular show, some really great storytelling, even if it is deeply disturbing more often than not.
yes, it's a bit macabre, for sure.
But just the amount of care that went into the costuming in that show, I was just in awe of, and I just love the idea of trying to come anywhere close to that. So that was definitely what drew me to that particular dress of hers, because it seems relatively plain at like first glance, but then you look at it and there's just such exquisite detailing, and I'm like, I'm going to die, but might as well die happy by trying to do something impossible.
Oh, and I know it's going to turn out so good.
Well, thank you.
I have every confidence in your ability to really just make it spectacular, and I really look forward to how you will present everything, and just being able to just see you share that. It's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. It'll take me a good long while, but I'll be working on it.
And we don't really know when we're going to be getting back to cons. I know a lot of them, they're starting to push out notifications. I know MegaCon just did not too long ago. They were supposed to have one coming up, and they pushed it all the way back to August. C2E2 is another example where they are not going to have it until December of 2021 if we're lucky. But of those that will come back, are there any that you are waiting for, fingers crossed, that you would like to return to?
I actually, the very last con I went to before 2020 got into full swing of 2020 was C2E2. I had a business trip out that way, and it happened to line up with the weekend of C2E2, and I was like, well, then I'll have one tiny suitcase for work clothes and one huge suitcase full of cosplay. This makes perfect sense. And I just had such a blast. I would love to go to C2E2 again. The local one here, FanX, is great. I've really loved it every time I've gone. So if it happens, I'll definitely be going to that one. It's not until September, so hopefully by that point, the world will be returning to something somewhat resembling normal.
I hope so.
So fingers crossed. Those are at this point probably the main two that I would like to make it to. Of course, there's lots of cons that I'd love to check out that I haven't ever been to, but
Outside of
that'd be so
cosplay,
awesome.
outside of cosplay and conventions, you do a bit of writing, and you've won some awards. I saw, I think it was on your Facebook feed, not too long ago, you won an award at the 2020 Utah Film Awards for Best Screenplay, if I'm not mistaken. And I watched the trailer.
Yes, I did.
Well, first of all, congratulations on being, you know, acknowledged for work in that area. It's certainly not something that's easy to do. It's fantastic. I watched the trailer for What I Should Have Said. Would you like to? Would you be able to explain a little bit about the project and how you were involved with it?
It's been about 2 years now. A friend of mine had a story idea, and he reached out to me because he knew I was a writer, and he's like, okay, I have like this 8-page summary of like what I had in mind, but it's just kind of like the main thread, and I don't know what else to do with it. So we got together, talked about his initial idea, and he kind of just turned me loose. This is Landon Caston. So I'll be sure to tag him in when this comes out, because I'm sure he'd be excited to see that we're talking about this story, because it's very important to him. And so went from there, and was originally supposed to be a short, but I wrote 40 pages to start out, and I was like, okay, let me know what to cut out. I just am kind of like spitballing here, getting some ideas down. I can focus it down on a more specific area for this short. And instead they were like, what if we just make a feature instead and you just write another 40 or so pages? And I'm like, yeah, that can happen. And so we're doing table reads, we're filming as I'm finishing writing. So I was writing the script as we were already in production. So that was a very interesting way to do it. Probably the funniest thing is we'd have certain scenes and I would be like, well, I know I can't rewrite that now because it's been filmed. So it's like ironclad. So now I have to make something else work around that. So it was definitely a one-of-a-kind writing experience, and finished up the script. It's still in production with all of 2020 putting the filming pretty much on hold for most of the year. But they submitted the screenplay. It got nominated back in March when I was at C2E2, and then the film festival was postponed a couple times because of 2020, and it ended up being a virtual film festival. I didn't even know it was happening, and I'm getting like texts from people of congratulations, and I'm like, for what? I found out via text that I had won the award. So it was a pretty 2020 way to win an award.
Just so remarkable that you were really writing almost on the fly part of the show as it was being developed. So that's, I mean, it's just amazing that you didn't really miss a beat at all, and that not only that, but it was so good that you ended up winning the award for it. So I think that's phenomenal to be able to envision that and bring it to life. just a really big fan of that kind of skill and passion that you would have to be able to do that. And I know you've also won the Nanowrimo, if I'm saying it right, several times. Which
NaNoWriMo, yeah.
NaNoWriMo. And I wasn't very familiar with what that was, but as it turns out, it is it looks like it's a relatively open competition where you have to write a 50,000 word novel in a month, and there's hundreds of thousands of entrants. How do you? I mean, you're writing on the fly, and you're also writing just massive amounts of volume in a very short amount of time, and then winning awards. So, how do you do that? I mean, is it? It's certainly. I mean, maybe it seems very. I guess you could ask the same thing of
a little bit of insanity.
I know, you ask a guitar player how do they play the guitar. I need to know how this works. So it may seem very second nature for what you do, but I just is there a process to be able to put that much on paper all at once?
Well, I've done NaNoWriMo for about, I think I've done it for the last 8 years and completed it 6 or 7 times. I don't quite remember, but yeah, it's going and writing 50,000 words in 1 month, which sounds like a lot, but until you're actually doing it, you don't realize how much 50,000 words is. It's a massive effort. One of the main things is you're putting in at least a couple hours almost every day. I'll have times where I take a few days off and then suddenly I'm 5,000 to 10,000 words behind and spending almost an entire day, Saturday or something, writing like 8,000 words trying to catch up. And it's daunting, especially if you do procrastinate at all and you let yourself fall behind. Immediately you just look at it and you're like, this is not possible. I know one year my sister had come into town for Thanksgiving with my baby nephew, and I was like, oh, I'm going to spend time with them, but I'm not done yet. I have like 20,000 words. And I kept working on it, and it was literally the last day. And I think I wrote like 12 to 15,000 words in one day, just like murdering myself to get it done.
Wow.
But somehow I got there. So I can't say how I do it other than insanity. That really is the only explanation, because I don't think any truly sane person would actively choose to subject themselves to that. So
And so no less than 7 times, which is that's a lot. That sounds like it's like training for a Spartan almost, and just keep going. When you go through all that and put yourself through so many paces, super levels of discipline, I would think, are required. I do a little bit of writing, but I don't know if I could write 4 pages a day for 30 days straight. I mean, I think that would be the equivalent if it's 1,500 words, and I think I could cram maybe 800 or 900 into 2 pages. So yeah, 1,800. Trying to do a lot of math in my head, it doesn't always work out, but I think it would be roughly 1,500 words a day, which is, yeah, that's a lot. And then all the, editing, revising, if you scribble out ideas and then try and rewrite paragraphs, if there's dialogue, and that takes up more space. So then it gets to be kind of long. But my goodness, it's been so great to speak with you, Shelley, and to just learn about the many talents that you have and the things that you're passionate about. There's a question that I ask of all of my guests on the show, and it's fairly straightforward and absolutely cosplay related. What do you feel that cosplay impacts within yourself?
I'm a very introverted person by nature, which may or may not come off, but I'm very quick to just stay in my own head, stay doing my own thing. For me, cosplay is really something that not only encourages me to engage in a community, but makes me actively excited about engaging in a community. I've just loved meeting so many interesting people. There's so many people from different walks of life in the cosplay community, but you always know you're going to find people that you have common ground with, who are more often than not open and welcoming of sharing these things that they are passionate and obsessed in the best possible way with. And it's a really wonderful way to get to see a world beyond yourself that you feel welcomed into when you step into it. A lot of my passions tend to be more isolating things like the writing. And so it's just, and even the cosplay on the construction side of things, but it's just a really, really special way to connect with people. The opportunities you have to do charity work and such things, and just seeing the look on people's face when you bring to life a character that they just absolutely love. It's just really special. It gives it, I think it's just a really wonderful way for me personally to get pulled outside of myself. And I would say that's what I think cosplay gives to me.
Where can we find you and how can we support you online?
Well, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook as Miss Greene in the Library. I have a second cosplay site on Instagram that is primarily just for whoever's interested on the side. That is Miss Greene in the Cosplay Closet, where I post updates of my works in progress. That's a fairly new page, so not too much there, but it's fun to have a place to share the work along the way rather than just the finished product. And those are the main areas. There's Miss Greene in the Library _author if you're interested in my writing. I am not as good at updating that one as I should be, but most of my writing is done very by myself. So I don't think to go, oh, people want to see this. So that one's a little neglected.
And that is absolutely okay. But really with everything that you do and all the amazing work that you do produce, I think we will forgive you if you don't constantly update all of your feeds. But everyone, please, folks, be sure to check out the links in the description and make sure that you like the video. If you like the video, be sure to hit the bell and subscribe, and be sure to find Miss Greene in the Library on all of her social and follow her. Thank you so much for being here. It's been wonderful to speak with you. And Scotty B with Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary on YouTube. We will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.